Get off the screen.
Yeah, so you're gonna be in the hour for this.
Oh, is that what we're recording? Is that what we're recording? We're live. I'm gonna call the meeting to order. Is everybody happy with that?
Yep.
Okay. First item on the agenda is to approve the minutes of November 8th, 2022. You have the minutes. I have a copy here if you don't.
So moved.
Move, seconded. Moved and seconded. And
Will you
then
put it in my name?
Excuse me? Say-
Would you
Bill,
put
you-
it in Johnson?
Put a T in Johnson. Before or after? Okay, Bill, that's, I'll take that as a correction.
Yeah,
All right, all in favor of the corrected version, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay,
Before we get serious, we have a new member here with us tonight.
Almost, I think not till January, right?
Yeah,
You're junior member for tonight.
all of you know Alan Kimberly.
I don't.
Nice to meet you.
Tell us your name, please.
Alan Kimberly.
Alan Kimberly.
Yeah, no B in it, 2 M's, no B.
That's good, because we're getting corrected here. And Alan, do you live in town here?
I live in beautiful town of Soamesville.
Okay.
And I've been a boat builder, boat captain all my life.
Good.
And grew up in Michigan on the big lake. And as soon as I was old enough, I moved down to Florida. And got tired of all that in '98 and moved up here.
Huh.
Been here since the last century.
Oh, that's
That
quite a while.
sounds better that way.
Well, welcome aboard. I guess you're an official member as of January 1st, right? Okay.
Except the selectmen.
And you know as much about us, probably more about us than we know about you, but you sound like you can bring some knowledge to the table. Okay,
Hope to.
good. New business. I see he says parking update, but
Howie said that if one of the other members of the committee wanted to give a brief overview of where they were. And that at our next meeting, he would present the
data,
data, that would be perfectly fine.
Jim, you're on that committee.
What? I am on
Oh,
it,
okay.
yeah. We met a couple of weeks ago. But I'm not sure that I can bring anything. Howie was putting together his graphs like only Howie can. I mean, he can do that, and I don't have that information.
Yeah.
So I think we'll just let it slide unless
We'll bring
Story
it
has
up next
anything
week,
to add.
next month.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, Howie definitely will be presenting that information next month and.
but anyway, we discussed a little bit of how the summer went, that sort of thing, but.
All right. John, it's coming back to you now. Commercial rate schedule.
So you guys asked me to look into what the other towns in the vicinity were charging for commercial or non-commercial. Some towns do a little bit of both. So our nearest competitors obviously are Southwest Tremont and Bar Harbor, so Tremont is hitting someone that's just a non-resident commercial vessel to use the dock, come and go, a $400 fee just for their tender alone. And then they're charging up to per foot, up to 50 feet, $20 a foot to use their facility over in Tremont. Southwest Harbor. Resident 360, non-resident 720. Gives you access to the pier and use of the hoist. Stonington charges by per foot, $10 per foot. the same type of usage.
Is Stonington's a flat thing or is that resident? Or they just charge
Just an
non-resident?
Annual vessel permit. It doesn't distinguish between resident and non-resident. Bar Harbor charges $250 fee, flat across the board. That's true.
Well, you said Southwest with seven,
You already did.
720.
So, you know, we're charging $500. Varied across really 3 different harbors with 3 different sets of amenities. I think our $500 fee, you know, fits pretty well in 2 of those. You know, here in Northeast, you might have an argument to charge a little more. I think we're, you know, not undercharging, we're not overcharging, but ours is specifically for, you know, non-resident. Where sometimes
Fremont, excuse me, with 400 for us. For the
the
tender.
charge is 400 for
A tender.
a tender,
For non-resident.
yep, and then a per foot charge for use of the dock for the hoist.
Is that the same thing? Is that the same thing as the? Where am I thinking of down on the Algerian coast there?
Seal Cove.
Seal Cove.
Fremont would
I
cover
don't know what they
Seal Cove
charge
too.
there.
So
Same.
there's nothing really at Seal Cove to,
Well,
You know,
the dock there.
no, I'm saying there's no hoist or anything there, so it's
Yeah, but you
comparable to our.
wouldn't be paying that per foot fee, because you're not using the Bernard dock.
Well, that's what I was.
That's the
that's-
only one they charge for is.
So I guess to, how's everyone feel? Are we happy with our fees right now?
I think we should continue with the 10% increase that we did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're continuing doing 10%. I think that's fair across the board. And I think we also need to get the commercial operators as well, 10% for their fee and the passenger fee.
Tremont hits Seal Cove non-residents $400 to use that facility.
I mean, considering inflation and everything, I don't think that's an unreasonable.
Seems like everything else
recommendation.
is going.
And I mean, obviously, he evens the numbers out, so it's not a,
I mean, the only thing I can say is that we've got the best facilities around, so. We're lucky
And my
there.
only argument is, you know, what somebody gets here in Northeast Harbor for $500 versus what they get in.
Yeah.
Bartlett's Island is hugely different.
But they abuse it more in
But-
Bartlett's
but
Island than they do here.
They do have the privilege of coming to Northeast too,
They could.
so it's not. It's not like it's not available for them.
and one thing that, and I'm gonna bring this up when we talk about ordinance changes. There's a problem with enforcement and collection because the resident, our definition in our ordinance doesn't match the town charter definition of resident. So our resident can be anyone that rents a house in town, owns property in town, and registers a boat in town. So for them to try to make someone, or if they don't ask for proof, they don't know where, if they just can get a list of the residents from the town as to verify who is charged or not charged. Because you have people that have properties in LLCs, you have, you know, people that once were here, there's a lot of people that aren't getting charged.
But if you rent a house, and you're living there, you'd be a resident.
No, this is in our ordinance, it is, you can rent and just for like a month or a
Oh, I
week
see what you're saying.
and register a boat here, or if you even own a piece of property, but you are not a resident here. So you don't have to be a resident of the town of Mount Desert as per like our definition of a charter, so. To fairly enforce it, for them to try to track down, or they don't ask for proof, they don't make people bring in a front, you know what I mean? So it's just on kind of honor or word of mouth, it makes a challenge for them to try to figure out who, you know, qualifies.
This is Donna on Zoom. I'd like to say something. One of the things, like, for example, when I became a Maine resident, the state of Maine, for purposes of lobstering, because I'm a lobster license, require you to be domiciled, and there's a very clear and distinct, easy, straightforward definition of domiciled, of resident. And if we just referred to that, there would be no question about it. Like, for example, are you here 1 month? Are you here 2 months? You know, when you're renting, are you living? Do you own? And all this stuff, it gets very muddy. And that's how the state of Maine deals with it, is to make it perfectly clear as far as being domiciled. And that I can give you the, you know, in a nutshell, what that means. You have to be, your intent is to live here year round, and you're here for at least 6 months. And that has implications for taxing purposes also, but it's a straightforward solution to this problem that comes up all the time.
But that's what I was saying. They have a list in the town office of residents. Be very easy to check.
It would be, we mirrored the town's definition.
Yes.
Because.
Well, I don't know if the town has domicile in it. I know the state does, but domicile is the key word that clears up the exact state definition.
I don't know if it does have it as a written word, Donna, but I think everyone assumes that's the definition. I mean, I always did.
Well, I don't know, assuming it always gets me in trouble, but
But we don't have the ordinance in front of us, so. I mean,
No, I
well,
don't have-
everybody's allowed to use the state of Maine definition of resident, and domicile is the key, because that gets right to the crux of the matter, and doesn't have to deal with these LLCs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You're a resident if you're domiciled. An LLC isn't domiciled. You know, it really does clear things up.
The issue then becomes that it's John's responsibility to check it out. Right?
Well, it's
How
always
about-
it's always his responsibility, I guess, if you're going to enforce anything, but
You're saying it's a question.
I'll
it's easier
bring-
to, it's easier to find out who is truly a resident or not, if it goes by the state.
I'll bring the town's definition to our next meeting, and you guys can vote on whether you want to adopt it. If you want to adopt it, it will be a simple warrant article to adopt it into our ordinance.
Doesn't seem like that would affect this commercial thing as much anyways, like.
You'd be surprised.
Yeah.
John, could you also bring the state of Maine's definition of resident, so that people would understand the differences and the advantages?
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. So we won't take any action on this until next.
But that would change even all the mooring registration,
You are correct.
Yes.
so.
It's gonna change a lot. It's gonna change the person who lives out on an island year round and is a boating person out there that comes and lives in Northeast Harbor for 4 to 5 months, and, you know, has been getting benefits from that.
Yeah, but they've been residents. There's ones that are still residents on the island. You know, and there's a lot, and then some of the people that had rented, you know, slips, and there's many more loopholes for people not to pay the fee than being a resident of town, and to clarify, there wouldn't be any more of that. But as to the commercial rate schedule, I think we can still vote on that, and I make a motion that we do an increase of 10% for the commercial operators and commercial, was it fishermen's or designation permit?
Non-resident commercial fish / aquaculture.
Non-resident.
Do the Zoom members understand what Chris's proposal is?
I believe so.
Donna? She's out.
I had it muted. Do you want to just give me a overview of what you're trying to convey?
Well, right now, we're working on the fee structure for the commercial float. Chris, you want to suggest, say what you suggested?
So make a motion to increase the fee by 10%. I should add have harbor master's discretion as we've done. He's done before, so he makes the numbers even out. Some might be 50 cents one way or the other. We've done that with all equally on all the other we've increased. Non-resident commercial fish and aquaculture and commercial operators.
And that would be consistent with the recreational voters increase.
The summer rate increase that we did, correct?
Yeah, okay, I understand, thanks.
Last year, we did the winter at 10%. We're just equal across the board, the same process and the same method we did.
Got it, thanks.
Any other discussion? Somebody want a second? Chris'
second it.
motion? Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye, raise your hand.
I,
Okay. Opposed? Carried. We'll get into the definition issue next.
Yep, I'll bring it, Chris would make marking it in the meeting, so I'll bring both definitions. We can only be more stringent than the state, we just can't be less stringent.
Okay,
Oh, wait a sec, John, can you clarify that for me? You can be more stringent than the state requirement, but not less? Well, then in that case, you have to follow this state domicile one in that case, right? Because the town one, it doesn't even define that. Well, I guess we could discuss it later when you compare the two. Okay,
Next meeting and see,
Yeah, we might find we haven't been in compliance.
we haven't been in compliance if that's the case, yeah, but that's okay, we're figuring it out now.
hey. We're all right.
That's the smallest problem.
Okay. Okay, item number 3 is Dallas Hodgkins. Got an issue and he sent over an overview. I assume, Dallas, you've talked with John about this?
Yes.
And you're asking for something that's basically offered to all the summer charter people, use of other town docks too, and as well as this one down here. So I'll open it up to you.
probably better if you come up so the online people can hear you.
So I have a 36-foot boat.
Come right up front.
As you can see, 36-foot Stanley. Licensed captain, lobsterman. And I have experience with the tour boats in Bar Harbor. So I put together my own little tour, just 6-pack charter. I have $1 million insurance policy. Licensed. I have the operator license, lobster demonstration license, also a class 3 lobster license. And the boat's documented for coastwise charter for 6-pack. So everything's legit in that area. I've been totally transparent with John and honest, as best I could do. I've been working out of Clifton with paid customers, with friends and family members that want to go on a tour. Unpaid, I do pick them up at the dinghy dock. And I've been straight up with you, John, about that. And my question is, would it be possible for me to monitor early morning the docks right in plain sight of view? Usually it's just a group of 3 people once a day. I don't sell tickets or anything. It's just an online thing. They call me up, we coordinate a time, which is always different. I can just watch the dock, sit there, chill out. They call me when they get there. I zip in. 17 seconds later, we're gone. I drop them.
Yeah, pretty,
If I can get in,
well,
This is the public dock we're talking about, not the commercial.
not the commercial dock. Don't even need that.
what's your feeling, John?
I mean, we have some clear numbers of what we allow. You know, we have people that are paying to use our commercial dock. I know he's not asking to use a commercial dock, but you know, it's still,
Why wouldn't you want to use the commercial dock?
I don't need it. I just need 15 seconds. Go in, hop aboard, and we take off.
But we don't have, do we have any openings, John? Is that
that's the problem. We don't have any open.
for the commercial dock?
Correct.
Now, we've been through this before, through our ordinance, there's nothing to stop a commercial operator from picking people up from the public dock without, if they're not advertising. We have 2 boats from Cranberry that does it. We have a sailboat, green sailboat moored out here that has long-term charters that comes in and uses it. And we have, I mean, because every company, builders and everything else that use it, full off the dock, as long as they're not violating our usage, meaning hours, tie-up times, and that, and not advertising.
I think that is violating it, though, when they,
Well,
when the red boat from Cranberry comes in, I
yes,
think you've spoken to him when.
yes, he's not allowed to
Not
come in
saying
and pick
names,
up
okay,
passengers, and, you know, yes, some of the commercial operators use the public dock when they can't get into the commercial dock. We try to keep them from doing it, but it's, you know, it happens and we don't do anything about it.
My comment would be, I, cause you know, I run a boat down there, you know. I would suggest on your, $1 million liability policy that you name the town an additionally insured. That's a requirement for everybody. So I know it sounds bad, but it won't change your rate. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
And so that covers the town for liability for passengers using that float. But that's a comment that I would make. I didn't like the idea when it first came up, but my insurance company says it doesn't change it. So you're still covered, but the town's named and additionally insured. And it was, something should happen on the ramp or the float, you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, sir. All right, my only question is, what happens next summer when I get 3 other boats that come to me and ask for the same thing that we're gonna let Dallas do?
We're full. I mean, I don't, once Gray came to us a number of years ago. And he was looking to be a charter, and we allowed that, you know, for that school over in Seal Harbor, and I don't know if he even does it now. But at that time, we're full, and we haven't lost anybody. And why can't you continue to use Clifton?
I could, but
Yeah.
that's not guaranteed. I mean,
Well, we can't guarantee.
What if you
what if you
suggested Seal Harbor as your,
what about Seal Hall?
Yep, that was an option I put down.
because
Nobody's going in there, are they?
Very few.
very few, I mean, it's,
Water taxi.
yeah. But it's not as congested as this place.
I will say that in the past, we've had people that wanted to just go into Seal Harbor and have said no to them because of this, you know, our system that we have down here, that's for all the harbors, so I almost could, it's not gonna affect me at all, and I can go either way, but I just worry about, like John said, if you get 3 other people that wanna do it, you
Well,
can't,
that's the
you can't
issue.
say
I mean,
no to
that's-
anybody
that's when
else.
you say all of a sudden, no, we can't.
And that, we were that way 2 or 3 years ago, and I don't see anything has changed.
This is the first time anyone's ever come and specifically asked for something other than using their commercial dock.
I mean, I've seen some slight growth, especially the notarized growth. I mean, there seems to be different colored friendship sloops that come in. You know, and they're all belong to the same outfit.
Blair's got 2 boats that come in and out.
Blair's got 2 boats.
That I don't.
And it's being, my thing is, I completely agree with what you're saying, and I completely agree that when someone asks, he's the first to come to it. He's coming and showing proof of his operation.
Right.
And I respect that, where these other operators, and these guys come down, 2 of the boats that pick up people, have the workers park here all day long. Way more hours than a fisherman, the tour boats, anywhere else. They park there minimum 8 to 10 hours, haul people off to the islands, off from the public dock on a regular schedule. So we either put our foot down and stop that.
What's wrong with you coming in and picking up somebody that works for you?
Well, they're picking up other contractors
Are
as
you-
well, but that's a commercial operator.
Are you like Newman Gray? Like,
There's-
what do you mean though?
there's other boats that are doing it. I'm gonna not, you know what I mean?
Well,
I'm not gonna,
but I don't know if they're charging for, I don't know how that works. I mean, I know Newman Gray comes in, and picks up their workers, which,
And merch comes in and picks up their work.
but that's, it's still, it's commercial, and they're in a business doing it, charging.
I don't know if they're charging, like Newman Gray, that's a perk for working there.
But should that be a commercial operator or a commercial non-resident fee?
I mean, I've looked into them because the complaints were brought up, and to the best of my knowledge in asking questions, they're running their own employees.
I don't think they're charging.
If they're not charging them, so
They're getting the hour work out of their employees that they wouldn't get
they're
otherwise.
making sure their employees get there.
Yeah. Yeah,
Dallas's situation is upfront and it's pretty well explained to me.
But what about the charter? I mean, what about the charter yachts that come in, tie up with their tenders, load pastors on and off? Those pastors all pay. And they even come into the commercial dock on a regular basis and use that.
what charter?
The mega yachts out there, you see them all, they're all under charter that come in and unload pastors back and forth on the tenders.
Well,
There's sailboats down here that charter, that advertise their charter and use the public dock in and out.
I don't think we could start going after them. I really do think if you chartered a big yacht out there, it would be like you're using it recreationally. And it's
It's
not,
still really a private,
it's not really a commercial
yeah.
operation.
Isn't one of the criteria a scheduled pickup
No,
and drop off?
no,
No?
no, because
No.
there's like a John Dwelly doesn't have scheduled, he's
Dallas is
pick up
not
and drop
asking for a
off 6
schedule.
people.
No, I'm saying,
Blair
saying
Colby's a
he's
pick
not
up, drop
scheduled.
off.
We have a certain amount,
off and pickup situation.
Well, that's what he's,
and then some are drop off and pick up, like Bill just said. The water
Right.
taxi,
Elizabeth T,
the 2 sailboats that we have, and
they can only have a certain amount of, like Beal Bunker's got, I don't know, 3 or, no, it's more than that, but
during
they've got a
summer,
certain
they-
amount of
Lot.
drop off,
Right.
pick up things, and
but they're
then,
meant to go from the commercial dock, which Blair doesn't do a lot of times, which he should be.
Bill, fix your microphone. We're only getting about 2/3 of your sentence.
that's not the good 2/3.
No, ma'am.
I'm saying that he ought to be able to apply under the drop off and pickup and take and use the commercial dock, because that's the system that we have been running on up until this point. And
No
doesn't
space,
involve the public dock at all.
So we don't have space right now. We're full on the number on our account. There hasn't been a spot available. I suggested to him, you know, I know about talking to Mike Olson, who has a spot not being used. I mean, and furthermore, that brings us back, do we need to reevaluate each year? We're supposed to every year reevaluate the leases and who's used their lease. And that's one of our things we're supposed to do when we went to the lease system. So it wasn't, you didn't own your landing rights. So we went to the lease that they drafted. We drafted with the lawyers. We're a year, we're supposed to evaluate that and look at that. So if you get someone that's not using it, shouldn't that be excluded and then that be open, that spot for lottery? So if someone keeps getting a lease every year, but they're not, haven't been carrying pastors or doing or using it, should that be taken, you know what I mean? That be evaluated, hey, you didn't run the last 2 years, or you didn't run last year. That should go, you should have to reapply in the lottery system and let someone else have a chance. And second, maybe this is a chance to, there should be allocated some spots in Seal Harbor for pickup and commercial drop off. Or maybe Bartlett's pay for a permit where we have a chance, if someone wanted to operate out of there.
Well, we haven't gone specifically to other harbors. If you have a permit here, you're entitled to land at the other town docks. So,
parking's an issue with the other 2 spots.
well,
It's
it
sealed.
could be here too.
Well, it is here.
I just want to throw that for
It
thought.
is everywhere.
I do think we need to evaluate the current usage of the lease agreements.
As far as parking's concerned, being a commercial lobsterman, I should have a parking space for myself and one for my crew.
Correct.
Better watch out what you're asking for.
No.
You're not guaranteed that.
No, not guaranteed.
No, this is
No.
Bar Harbor where you get a sticker.
Only permitted parking.
If you go at 10 o'clock in the morning, you're not getting this far parking spot down. there.
No,
The only permit is permitted there for the big long-term rentals and yacht usage determined by the harbor master.
I thought that was calculated in.
In the mailboat.
no, it does, the automobile parking is not part of the deal.
Oh, I thought that was-
But it's free. so
But he
then-
can park it,
He can if he can
Yeah.
find, a-
yeah.
Yeah,
And don't park in the long trailers either.
don't tell me how to do that.
Rick, can I make a comment?
Yes, go ahead, Bill.
You're going to anyway.
The end of the commercial dock down there, the public dock, it says 20 minutes. So if he came along and had passengers to pick up, the max they ought to have to wait is 20 minutes. And if not, then pick up the telephone, call the harbor master and say, this guy's been here for a half an hour. I've got passengers. You know who I am. Hey. Thank you.
You're basically asking for the same type of arrangement I have. I don't have a schedule. But I have the
Landing rights.
landing rights. So if somebody wanted to go to 2 or 3 or 9 or 10, at that time, I have the right to come in if I could get in there. And I will say now, the dock is shared pretty well. We don't have any dock hogs.
Yeah.
Like we used to have. But John says we're full.
We are, the permits that were allowed, we are full.
Okay.
Yeah.
But not all permits are being used, correct?
There is one that does not get used, or
What's the,
it does, it is extremely minimal.
what, is there I can't remember, what, is there a flat fee we charge just,
$600,
and then
25 cents a passenger.
passenger after that, yeah. Well, I think Chris points something out and, but I understand what you're trying to do and I appreciate you. The way you want to work, but we've already turned other people down and we're full. And to open up all of a sudden. The public float. And grant you permission to land there when we've already told other people they can't is a pretty hard thing to do,
I get you.
you know? And I have,
I understand.
I can sympathize with you. I think it's very hard for us to offer this specific use of the public dock. If it were a commercial dock, I would say we should reevaluate who's not using the space and allow you to fill in where you've made an application. That's my feeling.
We wouldn't be able to do that though, because it's
that's
set up as a lottery system.
Oh, I know.
So
and I
you'd
don't-
have to
I don't like that.
put
either.
in some sort of use it or lose it thing, which I don't.
we'd have to advertise
No,
for the
we-
lottery too.
We can, every year, we're supposed to review the lease agreement. And we can say yay or nay, and that was the whole point of it, so no one has a right, absolutely right to use it, we can say,
We
you didn't use it, or you didn't
could
use
say
it
who's not
properly,
using
or
it,
you didn't
yeah.
share the dock well.
then you have to go into a lottery,
Or
or you'd have to put his name in a
I,
hat.
again, that lottery system to me is the most unfair way of running the whole operation, because the last time we had a lottery, a guy from Southwest threw in 3 or 4 tickets and got 2 spots. So, that's not the way it really should be. I mean, we've got residents, we've got people with legitimate places. You can't run 2 boats at the same time, but he got 2 spots. And I don't think that was right at all.
Who's that?
Well, it was.
Kaplan-
Don't say his name out loud, he'll show up.
No,
Yeah.
he doesn't have.
No, it was
Was he gone?
Carl Bruner.
Bruner, yeah.
3 spots, 2 sailboats and the Elizabeth Day.
yeah.
He has that now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we had other people here just, so it's a gambling game. That, I don't think that's a very good way to base your business on.
Would you like to add that to the review of our ordinance?
I would,
I think we've got some other ordinances that we want to look at. I think we should review that ordinance that pertains to the commercial dock users.
You know, maybe one individual can only own shares in the company or so many, one.
Yeah,
I'm thinking there's no language in there that says anything about non-use, so that's something that maybe we want to look at.
and
But that was the intention when we went to the lease agreements. So one organization couldn't come in and buy.
Well, it's because someone was trying to sell it too.
I
Right.
mean, we
Yeah.
do have an issue of some dock hogs down here coming in at 7:30, leaving their boat until they go out at 10 and stuff like that. And Beal Bunker is famous for tying up the dock space when they're not there. And it's not right. And generally, it's been pretty good, but there's some problems down here that need to be addressed. I don't think you should be able to bring your boat in at 7:30 in the morning and leave it until you go out at 9:30. And it happens a lot.
So is Mike's the only one that's not being used?
That would be my guess. Everyone else, for the most part, has consistently used.
Green Sleeves doesn't have a thing down there anymore.
You know, he gave his
So with Mike, that's been going on a long time
with who?
with Mike.
Yeah, he's generally been coming in and paying for some passenger fees, but I don't think he's done any this year.
I don't like that boat.
And I didn't mean to single them out. I just used.
No,
it as an
understand.
example for an agreement we should review.
Well, I
But if
think
he's-
it's fair to single people out because if they're in violation of it, then it needs to be, we need to be aware of it.
Well, they're not
I
invited.
just said, I think there's others.
Well, abuse.
Where they're just not using.
Well, even at that, if he's, has the permit and he's not able to use it, it doesn't have the boat ready or whatever that situation is, and that's, if he's not gonna use that for a season, it's too bad. It's kind of like the Sunbeam going out for several days when we can rent that space while they're gone, but when they come back, it's theirs. But if Mike's not gonna use that for a year, it's too bad to not let someone else use it.
I think it's something that we could put in our language in that ordinance to cover something like that. Because like John Dwelly had a year where with COVID and he had his parents were, in rough shape. He called and talked to me and asked me about not running. And, I agreed that it was, I understand, pay your $600 fee, but I gave him a year pass. And we have some other language on like our seasonal slip renters. They're allowed to miss 1 year. But they still have to pay their fee to hold that spot for their 45 minimum days. So we have some language in our ordinance that we could easily adopt and cover. What we're talking about for non-use.
But they're paying for 45 days.
They are.
Yeah,
yes,
so
and we
With the
double-
slip wide open that we're double dipping on.
But they're not allowed to do it 2 years in a row.
No, but they're paying up for the year they don't use it.
That's correct.
Yeah. So we get the double.
But, Mike Holson has been paying his $600, but
Which is pretty short money for a guaranteed if you want it.
I think we could cover non-use of some sort in our ordinance to. As long as they knew it was in there and.
I think Dallas has been upfront about this and if everyone ran their operation like you're suggesting you're gonna do here, we'd have a lot fewer headaches down there.
I mean, we may even have room for more than what we do if it was efficient as what Dallas.
I don't think you're gonna get a straight answer tonight, but I would suggest that at the next meeting, when we get to discuss some of these other problems, we can be more informative for you.
Yes, sir. Well, as of right now, I'm gonna run out of Clifton and I don't even tie up there. I wait.
Yeah, I know you do.
I'll go over. Just
Do
like-
you ever have people suggest a seal harbor?
I mean, it was an option I put down
Okay.
here.
But you don't,
Possibility.
you haven't normally thought about it.
No, I've never used it.
Okay,
Uh,
I mean. I know parking's a big deal over there, but it is, so. They do have that parking up in town.
And maybe we should address Seal Harbor. I mean,
Well, I think we thought we were, but we had kind of avoided it.
right, I know, just because someone has a boat here and uses this facility all the time, but they have rights in Seal Harbor, but they're not using it. So again, why couldn't someone else use it?
Next
Could I-
thing you know, the Otter Creek.
Bill, we only hear about a tenth of what you want to say.
Okay, no, I was just giving you, but the next thing you can know is Otter Creek's gonna be asking for equal time.
We can row out to there.
Maybe when they knock the causeway out.
Causeway out and.
Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
So in our ordinance, it's every third year after operating contracts executed, every approved operator must submit to the harbor master an application for approval to the marina. So they must reapply after 3 years. And then that criteria goes through his review. The decision criteria should include the operator's record of safety, compliance, courtesy use of the float, public feedback, and other factors related to safe and efficient use of Northeast Harbor Marina. The harbor master shall forward all applications to the harbor committee with a recommendation of approval. The approval with conditions or non-approval. The harbor committee shall review the applications, harbor master recommendations, and forward applications to the select board with the committee's recommendations. The select board shall make the final determination on all applications. And that's supposed to happen every 3 years after the initial application or resubmit.
We've never ever done that. In,
Excuse me, could I say something?
Yeah. Who's speaking?
As far as Rodney. This is Rodney King.
Yeah, go ahead, Rodney.
As far as Seal Harbor, it wouldn't be a bad place. The only thing he'd run into is if every once in a while, everybody happens to be coming in from fishing at the same time. And the whole dock is tied up because there's only one hose down there. So they're all taking turns waiting for the hose to wash down. And parking, you know, if they get late there, a lot of times parking is bad, but it actually wouldn't be a bad place because that doesn't happen a lot.
Right. Thank you. What's your pleasure, folks?
I think we have to leave it the way it is.
I think we ought to look into options.
Well, in our next, but now I don't think.
there's anything we
it's
can do
making-
tonight, but I think
Yeah,
we should.
I think it needs to be looked into.
yeah.
Yep.
Well, legally, we have to.
Hmm.
Legally, for the ordinance.
Well, yeah, we do. And we've kind of let it slide. I appreciate your good efforts.
I appreciate your time.
Being upfront with us. Don't give up yet, because I think you might.
Maybe Mike Olson wants to sell a boat.
Yeah, but that, he
You don't
can't
want that
sell,
boat.
he can't, that doesn't mean he sells.
Oh,
the
but
spot.
No,
Usually it's,
no, with that
An easy
lottery
thing.
system here, we could have a dugout canoe that could get a spot. I just don't like that lottery. And I think residents should have a preference too. That's the way it goes.
You
Thank
have
you all
our,
very much for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
you have our attention.
Have a good evening.
probably that should be something to put on an agenda to look into that.
Oh, I think,
I think we should bring the ordinance.
Because I think you probably shouldn't just be able to sit on something and bank on it for.
And
No.
it says town marina facility, so we don't have one marina, but that should count for the other harbors. But later in it, the approval in the manner does not, the proposal is changing an existing contract or application or approval in a manner that does not increase the Northeast Harbor Marina.
right.
Well, we've
So-
had people come, I mean, years ago, come and that just wanted to use Seal Harbor and we said
That-
no, that this was a.
So in the
you know,
first
space out
paragraph,
of here.
the second paragraph defining it as use of town marina facilities. Okay, so that I'm considering that as the whole town, all the different docks. Any increase in approval of another cannot, only thing it can't do is increase the usage to Northeast Harbor Marina, ticket booth or parking for the upcoming season. So,
So leave Seal Harbor and Bartlett's open for consideration then.
but we've also, I don't see where. I don't see where we kept the count that we had. Remember before we were going off from the count? referred to total passengers and it related to the parking and all that.
Yeah,
So all we have is increase in the marina usage. So I'm saying, I think that gives flexibility that if you have one person that had 3 pickups and drop offs, or
If my memory serves me right, the reason we're full is because of the parking. It wasn't because of the dockage,
yes,
and that was the issue.
Well, I thought we also had a passenger count too.
There is.
yeah,
Well,
we
we
did.
did, but you could never meet it with, when you have a 6-pack boat, 36-foot boat that holds 6 people, or a 36-foot boat that holds 20.
But
You
we
see what I'm
lost,
saying?
we lost the captain B out of that, and those numbers never went back into.
We lost the Captain
into the
B, and
act.
we also lost the other little power, but what's his name? The old guy that owns the 2.
Shaw, West Shaw.
No.
Everything that we
Yeah, the
have
West Shore
that has
stuff.
gotten done has been replaced by something other than the Captain B.
Okay.
I don't know what happened to West Shaw's.
He
died.
died.
No, I know he died. I don't know what happened to his, who got his number.
Probably was part of that lottery, wasn't it?
It was part of one of those lotteries.
But I don't know.
and
Maybe
also it says in the other, this is approved for Northeast Harbor Marina, will have permitted drop off and pickup privileges in other harbors, but not scheduled trips.
I agree with you on that lottery, but I don't know what else we can do.
You know, but ironically, here's another one that I'm gonna bring up. We shut the dock down because of the parking, but the parking pressure now is higher than it's ever been because of workmen and sternmen.
Everybody takes 2 now instead of 1.
Right, so I mean, you go down here 6:30 in the morning or 6 o'clock, and then basically the parking lot over here is full. And now this one's,
sometimes it's full at 5 o'clock in the morning.
I know, but what I'm saying is it has nothing
Yeah.
to do with the boating,
Right.
it's workmen,
And the number of operators that we have out here increased. We're
totally,
Definitely.
across the board from each spectrum.
which actually, we never really considered that as part of filling up the harbor.
We have seen in our data, last year was better than previous years with parking. And there's been a noticeable difference in that, other than a few times.
Yeah.
And a lot of it, but we only had enforcement basically on 2 lots. And an amazing job done by the harbor master crew and the harbor master for those 2 sections, and that made a large difference in what we saw.
Now, there's a couple of outfit boats that are fishing out of here all summer, aren't there? Am I right?
Yes.
Well, yeah, I mean,
No,
They have more.
yeah, 8 Philbrooks out there and,
But you have
no, but there's a lot more lobster boats out of here now.
Yes.
than-
yes,
A lot more.
full-time,
Yeah.
right,
We have what, I don't know how many people from Bar Harbor we have fishing out of here now.
and that's
summer,
that's what
they're all-
filled up our parking lot.
Yeah.
It's Colby.
And the island where there'll be, that was the more, you'll see in our, you can see in the graph.
Yeah,
There's all capital ones that are early morning filling up in the
Right.
back of the
Lot of-
days.
Yeah.
And it's by between 7 and
Yeah,
8, and then we did another time, thanks to Jim's suggestion, we did a morning count. And you can see when that kind of fills up. Now, the turnover is, most of the fishermen are turned over by 11 or 12 in the summertime. Where those boats, the people that are going to islands to work, stay longer throughout the day.
Most of the fishermen are turned over by 11 in the morning.
Yeah,
All the smart ones.
well, no, a lot majority of that in the, no, in the summertime, for sure, when heavier usage.
Pretty short day.
okay,
Not if you start, you always started late, riding your bike down, having your coffee in the morning, you don't count,
Espresso on the
Yeah.
coffee.
paddle out.
When the rows, and now you row out,
No one took up
people
some-
look at you like,
No one took up so much time.
amazing these young
All
guys,
right,
they know
okay,
the
let's,
answers.
Yes. and
Let's
then
keep this
we'll be
serious.
Looking at a few ordinances.
yeah, we
No,
are,
it's way, it's more fun this way.
Is there any other ordinances in particular that you folks want to look at?
John, would you send out the most current ordinance for our
Be a
And
pleasure.
if you guys can kind of flip through it and by the, maybe between Christmas and New Year's, if you can get me your suggestions on which ones you want to look at, other than the two that we picked out. I will put them on the agenda for our January meeting. Because if we're gonna make any changes, we need to have a discussion on what you'd like to do to them. I need to get them to Eaton and Peabody to write the new ordinance, bring them back to you in February, or maybe even a special meeting for you guys to give your approval, and then I need to get them to the selectmen before March, so they can do their approval and get them into the warrant.
They approved the warrant in March, right?
The first meeting in March is the last shot for anything to get on the town meeting.
Yeah, I think we really should pay attention to this and act on it
So
in
I
January.
will email out that tomorrow.
Go ahead.
Can we look into adding a full harbor designation for areas outside of the harbor like we do?
So, you know,
What I'm saying is he could say this part, this cove, this area is full harbor status, no more moorings set into it.
We talked about looking into
So
that
that would be a way to
during that.
look into areas that are highly congested.
Yeah, that's
it's
I
one of our ordinance talks about that, so find out which one that
Yeah.
particularly is and put it on your list when you email me and we'll put it on.
I'd like to make a comment about changing the mooring situation. Is, first of all, I've been happy with what the regulations as they have been designed with John's approval. But I'm also quite interested in what South Shore Group and the fleet want to do. So they're gonna make proposals too. Right now, I would prefer that we didn't make any changes until we heard from them.
The only change I was suggesting is that we have the ability
I agree.
to say this area is oversaturated, considering it a full harbor as designated for other ordinances for GPS coordinates.
Yeah, okay. It's something we could add
Like
to.
Somersville Harbor is a full harbor, but that expansion goes outside of it,
I know.
Well, I think we should address commercial moorings with what happened in
Why would we
Gilpatrick.
wait for them to decide what they're gonna do before we
Because-
decide what we're gonna do?
Because John has had a pretty good system going until we got into this mess.
Right, no, but you said wait for the South Shore and the fleet to discuss what they wanna do.
Before we made any real changes, yeah.
I think if they see that we're discussing ordinance on our next meeting, I think you'll see something from them.
You mean asking for something or?
The South Shore Cove Association is waiting for an opportunity to bring their ordinance ideas to us.
Why do they have to wait for a reason?
They've been giving us a little bit of break to clean up some regular business because they, in my opinion, they really hogged our time and we put a lot of other things off to deal with their issues. But they are waiting for an opportunity to come before us with their ordinance suggestions.
Well, the sooner that they can come forward, that would help us out because then we don't want to miss this round of warrants and all that.
Yeah, if they have proposals, they ought to propose them and then we'll work as we rewrite the ordinance. We'll,
Yeah, I don't think we should sit here and try to readjust the ordinance to fit their needs.
No,
Well, I don't think we should.
No,
put
but
it
I
out.
you could listen to what they have to say, or we.
Right, I'm willing to
Our
listen.
needs are now. They have suggestions to add to that, then you guys can take that into consideration.
yeah, that's why I'm saying they should be putting their ideas in now. And then we'll look at them to see if it's what goes along with what we want.
I think we
Without the
should,
word view in there, right, Rick?
I think we should
Yeah.
address the terminology with commercial mooring applications.
Would all the fleets be commercial?
They're hooked into all.
you're making money.
But Clifton Dock's not the only commercial entity that could apply to us for those spaces.
I'm assuming Abel's and Doc Williams are all commercial.
Where's Lou Damon? We need him.
And that was something pointed out by the fleet as well, that they hope that we would address our concerns of their expansion, go to the boatyards that have expanded out in other areas. I mean, and we told them that that's not something we do, and that's something they'd asked of us. That was one of the things Franny had addressed and asked for us. So.
Well, I'm thinking
And that's
the
what-
Fleets is the worst expansion since it's.
They're just trying to
encroached
take
on-
the heat off themselves, because they're the ones that have expanded into the travel
Right.
way.
And have some that were done after our moratorium that we're supposed to clarify. and-
They left it. The last information that I understand is that they were gonna come to an agreement and bring it to us. So I didn't want us to pre-plan for them, their needs.
But they were gonna realign.
They were gonna make an agreement with the neighbors and property owners and come back to us with what they wanted. So,
And you know, Franny's leaving, so
well, I mean,
that's,
a whole host of things that are going on, but I still don't want to take on that charge of satisfying a few of them and making the others upset.
Yeah.
So if they can come to an agreement, then we can work on that.
I think we just need to work on the issues that we have that we want
Right.
to work on. And,
Right.
Right.
you know,
And if they happen to bring something to us, we can look at it, but we're not, there's no reason for us to sit here and wait for them.
No, all pre-plan it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I definitely want to avoid that.
I noticed Jason Pickering, has he talked to you? He put on Facebook, I don't know, Chris, if you see it, so he's asking for someone to arrange to pick up workers and go out.
But he
Sounds
wanted
like
them
a
from Southwest Harbor.
scheduled trip.
I haven't heard.
He wanted them from Southwest Harbor though,
Well, I wasn't sure, it was
because
Southwest.
somebody commented about Northeast and he said they were looking for Southwest Harbor.
Okay. Never mind.
Okay,
One more thing for the ordinance. There's this, I think, a solid discussion from this committee about whether we really want to be the appeal committee going forward.
But it all goes to.
Do we have a choice?
Well, we do if we change the ordinance.
I think that who are you gonna get more knowledgeable on the matter?
I agree with
I
Chris
agree.
100%.
I think a lot, yeah.
I
lot of times the
was
selectmen
really
look at
nervous
us.
that it was gonna go to the Board of Selectmen. This last decision.
The problem that I saw is that when this started, then we had to stop discussing it. Because we were the
Yeah.
appeals committee.
Yeah, but we
We-
just had to discuss it in open forum.
We could discuss it in our own meetings. No, we weren't shut off from discussing it.
You were just shut off from discussing it with me.
No, we were shut off from discussing it privately.
Well, now.
Exactly. Tori's right, exactly.
Not as a
We-
group.
We were only, yeah, we could talk as a group, but it's got to be open to the public forum, and
And I think
Zoom does that very nicely.
I think we all lived up to that obligation. I don't.
We did.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
So I think we've covered old business. I don't know if we want to put that under.
Well,
under
we-
analysis.
we have covered it, and it's my fault for not bringing it up, but we pretty much covered everything on the paper today.
How about a shed for the skating rink?
That's not on the agenda.
Why did we get involved with that?
Wasn't it coming?
So. It hasn't been officially brought to us, but it did roll through the selectmen's minutes or agenda that. They potentially are gonna be looking for the ability to put some type of building down there to be able to store the ice rink membrane and
You didn't hear that?
stuff.
I remember at the selectmen's meeting, if I remember correctly, it was expressed that why can't they keep their membrane in the town building, in the Public Works building as opposed to add another shed or another anything close by. It's not like they use that membrane all the time. It's sort of long-term storage, isn't it?
Perfect
And
idea.
That was what was brought up in the town meeting.
But I thought it was also about shovels and junk that they would use day to day.
It was.
But isn't there room inside the court? That isn't, they're not, the court isn't full.
No,
You couldn't put
Like
a
in the
shed
summer.
inside the court.
No, but you could.
Oh, no, I'm saying during the
out.
You can put a few shovels in there. It's just long-term storage of the membrane. It was raised that, why don't they just keep it at the Public Works Department where they have more room? That's what I had heard.
But we
This thing
could
will be-
also say, I mean, this is just like the trees and the benches. It's no different than that.
Yep,
And have a shed that's 5 by 8 on skids. And put it in one parking space in the winter. And then drag it out of here in May.
Good idea.
That's a great idea.
Load the stuff in it and put it somewhere.
put it up in the parking lot.
Good
of
Take
idea.
it away.
The town, the maintenance shop
You
there.
set a fork
It's not a problem.
loader,
Have wheels on it.
but they essentially,
Have wheels.
after this thing is all set up and everything, they're essentially gifting it to the town.
yeah, well, it will last about 3 years and that will be.
If that,
There's gonna be quite an issue with getting it filled. It holds 25,000 gallons of water to be able to set it up correctly.
How thick
At
does it have to
some
be?
point
Don't
in
flush,
the-
John, they're gonna
in
take
the
your water.
near week or so, the fire department has been tasked with filling it. It would take way more trucks than they could ever back and forth with a tanker. They want to run it off of a hydrant, which will account for, there will be a day, almost a whole day, when they have to close off the entrance to our slip renters parking lot. And Harborside Road that comes down, one of the other roads is gonna get blocked off for a good portion of the day.
How thick of ice are they gonna have up there?
I think it's generally 3 to 6 inches of ice. It's not overly thick,
Yeah,
but it's, you know,
and is
that
that
much
gonna
water spread out over the
damage
size
the
of
court?
that is a lot of water.
that's more. I mean,
That isn't that much. 25,000 gallons.
This is
good-
Donna. I have a question. Is there any risk to lowering the pressure of, if you're letting that fire hydrant being open all day long, does that risk pressure in case there, God forbid, was a fire? Does there, I don't know anything about how pressure with fire hydrants work, and if you had to shut it off, would it like be a quick seamless thing where we would have pressure for other places if it is affected at all? I just don't know.
There's a
They're
massive,
waiting on permission from the water company to do it.
we have a massive head tank that basically compensates for the heavy usage in the summertime. So this time of year, it'd be negligible compared to our higher usage times. In event of emergency, that runs out, the fire department, with permission of the water company, can have access to the pond itself, but it'd have to be, the town would go to have to, you boil your water.
I guess these are things that we think about. I don't know how long it takes to get all that permission when the house is burning. I don't know.
Great. Now it's got a 5-foot high fence around it.
Well, it's not, what about Lower Adlock?
That's where we used to skate
Yeah.
Car race.
Back in the day,
back in the day.
ride your horse up there.
Cut ice for the summer.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thank you very much.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, raise your hand. Thank you.
Aye.
Very good meeting.
Very good.
John, you got your work cut out for you with the ordinances. Make sure we all get one.